Finally live now. I hope you guys have all had a good day so far. We are going to be covering tropical storm Francine, which was actually just a depression and now is finally a hurricane. So we're going to be doing live coverage for Hurricane Francine. So if you guys are new here to the YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button down below. That will definitely help throughout the stream. And also don't forget to smash that like button as well, so that way you guys can stay up to date with me. But we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some webcams right now. So, as of right now, let's go ahead and take a look at satellite imagery. The eye is pretty much located right here, just south of Morgan City. So we're going to go to our live cams, and we're going to go ahead and go to Morgan City, which is located right here. Let's see. So it doesn't sound like there's much live cams there, but it sounds like there's one right next to it. We can go ahead and check this one out. Let's go ahead and press show video. So yeah, as you can see, it rained pretty good right now. Starting to see those trees sway a little bit, which does indicate that the eye is certainly getting closer to the area. So we definitely will be needing to be paying attention to see if those winds do get worse in that area. But as of right now, as you guys can see, just some rain and gusty wind activity. So nothing too crazy, thankfully, but still looking to potentially get worse as we continue to head into the future. And you can see there's a car going right there, and as you can see, kind of drove through a wet road right there. Kind of saw some splashing water, might indicate that some of those waters may be a little bit on the higher side of things. But yeah, sure is ramping up quite a bit, so we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on that. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the radar to see what it looks like on there. Now I haven't edited everything yet, so we're gonna go ahead and go to just warnings, because that's really all we need. And then we want tornadic, obviously, because we're gonna be tracking some tornado rotation today and even some tornado potential. We can even turn on the hurricane track if we want to as well, but we don't need that as of right now. We could even turn on the NOAA weather radio too, but I don't think we're gonna need that either. So it's mainly just gonna be right there that we want. But let's go ahead and select that one right there. And yeah, as of right now, we're not seeing any warnings yet. We do have a special marine warning in effect, and as you can see, you can kind of see the eye right there. Hasn't came on shore just yet, but it is still getting ready to come on shore pretty soon, and so we will definitely continue to be watching it extremely closely. So yeah, but latest scan from the radar still hasn't really shown much. Still showing about the same. We still have a chance of a water spout occurring, as you guys can see. So we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on that. And areas farther to the north might be starting to see some of this rain, but it's still mainly down here towards Louisiana. Something that we can do, by the way, we don't just have to look at live cams. We can also go ahead and look at some storm chasers. So we're going to I'm just going to quickly go ahead and switch my account to this one, so that way we can look at some storm chasers. We're in turn our audio down, so that way it's not too loud. Let's see, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go to desktop audio. Okay, just making sure my desktop audio is good. Okay, remember it was too loud sometimes, but don't worry, I can fix it, 'cause I'll be able to hear it off of my microphone. Let's see, Connor Croft. We're gonna go ahead and pull him up. We're gonna go ahead and now quickly listen.
Exactly, Eddie. It's not a 3 a.m. chase. It's a freaking miracle. It's a freaking miracle.
Losing a little bit of signal, but he sure is.
It's a freaking miracle, Chad.
Yeah. So we'll definitely watch. But we're gonna go ahead and turn the sound off for now. And we're gonna go ahead and do full screen. And we're gonna go ahead and move on to this now. So yeah.
Play a couple different places.
Alright, there we go. I just wanted to do the sound just a little bit differently. And of course I want it off too. But go back to the radar, latest scam from the radar. Something happened. I don't think we actually need that window. Let's go ahead and kick that out. I apologize for that, by the way. Something's going on with my OBS program, but it's okay though. We probably But yeah, so back to the radar again. Still showing some pretty big areas of rotation. Especially down here south of Morgan City. So we'll definitely, continue to be watching it as it does, start moving on to shore some more. But as of right now, it's mainly just, some pretty big water spout activity ongoing in some of those areas. So we'll definitely continue to watch that area very closely just in case a water spout does develop. Let's go ahead and look at some live cams. I remember it was called 115 LA, and I just gotta write live cams in there. There we go. Alright, we're gonna go to the map, and we're just gonna have camera selected, which it looks like it still is. So there we go, all set right there. If we look at another live cam towards Morgan City, it doesn't look like there's very much in that area, but we definitely can look at one close to Morgan City, like right here near this area. So let's go ahead and pull up the video. And yeah, as you can see, drizzling. I'm starting to get a little bit of wind activity, as you guys can see. So yeah, we'll continue to be watching, it extremely closely, as it does look like this could very well start to ramp up quite a bit. So unfortunately, we are hoping that things won't ramp up too much just yet, but we'll continue to watch it closely. So that's what's shown on that. We'll keep it like that for a moment. But back to the radar again. Still seeing quite a bit of still seeing quite a bit of activity with some water spout potential and stuff like that down here towards Morgan City. Like I said, eye is still around. We are continuing to watch the eye. We expect that eye to kind of emerge like this, so it's kind of gonna go a little bit more northeastward, like that. So Baton Rouge, you guys need to also be on high alert too as well before this starts making its way toward you guys. But you know, we are still keeping an eye on it, and we haven't looked at the National Hurricane Center yet, so let's go ahead and show you guys that before we forget. And yeah, definitely strengthening even more, because we can kind of see some more widespread hurricane force wind activity, and hasn't reached the coast just yet, but definitely will in a second though. We also do expect there to be a ton of rainfall. As you can see, 6 to 8 inches of rainfall is going to be possible across parts of that area. Pretty much in between Morgan City and Lafayette, Louisiana is where we expect that extreme amount of rainfall to be. But even areas up to the north, such as Jackson, up there towards Memphis, those areas could even be seeing quite a bit. Anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of rainfall is going to be possible in those areas. So we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on it. Wow, it is definitely going to continue to be on the extreme side for that rainfall. We'll also look at that flash flood potential as well, and as you guys can see, we do have a moderate risk for some flash flooding across parts of southern Louisiana. Pretty much right around the New Orleans area is, also another area we can expect some pretty big flooding to occur. But as of right now, it's mainly just gonna be this area down here that we are mainly gonna be watching for, and then these areas up here to the north we'll need to be keeping an eye on too, but those won't happen till tomorrow, it looks like. So we'll definitely continue to be keeping an eye on it. And then back to the radar again. So if we go back to the radar, we definitely are keeping an eye out still for some potential rotation. It looks like we just got a new special marine warning in effect for still a potential water spout, as some areas of rotation may be around. Let's go ahead and look at the rotation and see if there is anything around. And yeah, velocity scan, not really seeing much in the way of rotation. Kind of surprised how skippy this is. Let's go back to velocity. And yeah, as you guys can see, we aren't really seeing a whole lot of rotation in these areas down here where they have those water spouts issues. But as you guys can see, there is some isolated areas of rotation in those areas. And if we look back at the reflectivity, yeah, I mean, it does make sense that there could very well be rotation in those areas because there's just storms everywhere. So we do need to be keeping an eye on it. So, definitely be on high alert. If you do live down here towards New Orleans, Gulfport, places like that, we'll need to be, keeping an eye on it while it will continue to get closer. But let's look at another live cam while the eye is getting closer. So let's look here toward Lafayette now. And Lafayette, we do expect there to, start pouring some rain down. And if we look at this video right here, yeah, as you guys can see, we are starting to see some wind starting to pick up. So it's definitely starting to get, pretty close to, where we do expect it to be. Let's see here. John says, hey, hello, John, thanks for joining me. We are just tracking Hurricane Francine as it will continue to impact a lot of these areas. We're hoping that it won't strengthen to a Category 2 hurricane just yet, but it very well could, especially because that eye hasn't reached the coast just yet, but we will be tracking it as that eye is going to be coming onto shore, and I can actually go ahead and look at satellite imagery for that. So that center part of it that you see right there is pretty much the eye of the storm, and yeah, it hasn't touched shore yet, but there is a lot of extreme storm activity already coming on, so we're definitely gonna continue to be keeping an eye on it, and then as soon as the eye comes on, we'll focus more on the damaging wind activity, as winds up to 100 miles per hour are possible, but we could very well see some category 2 winds, especially if this thing strengthens. But I don't think it's going to get much stronger because it's already getting ready to reach the coast, and it's already indicating just a category 1 hurricane. But we look at the potential rotation again. As you guys can see, potential rotation, like I said, we might be seeing some areas of rotation in these other storms. Pretty much some areas of rotation over here towards, Lafayette, Louisiana. Those areas might be starting to see some rotation in certain areas, but mainly focusing on that potential waterspout activity still, especially as, those storms are pretty strong and they're in the water. Let's see here. What state is it close to? It is close to Louisiana. So Louisiana hasn't really seen a hurricane for quite some time, and yeah, as you can see, there's southern Louisiana right there. And like I said, the eye is expected to pretty much move in between Lafayette and Morgan City, and that's exactly why we are looking at live cams in those areas. See, there's Lafayette in Louisiana, and over there is Morgan City. We're pretty much expecting that eye to come in between these two areas and make landfall in those areas. So it's pretty much going to be southern Louisiana right there, as you guys can see. So we'll definitely continue to be keeping an eye on the eye to see if it gets any stronger. Like I said, category 2 landfall is going to be possible, so we'll continue to be watching it closely. But we can also look at another live cam. This is Leeville, more in the water than on land, but this is still an area that has been experiencing some storms, and wow, oh my goodness. There's quite a bit of water. There actually might be some pretty big flash flooding already starting to occur in some of those areas. See, there's a bunch of grassland, and we're already starting to see some pretty big ponds of water show up on land. So that definitely could indicate that these areas probably have already seen around 4 inches of rainfall in some areas. So that's definitely pretty unfortunate for them, but we'll definitely continue to see how much worse this may get as this does get closer. And you can actually tell by looking at the radar, because we looked at Leeville down here in this area, pretty much in that area, and yeah, you can see a bunch of red and yellows already starting to show up. That does indicate a lot of heavy rain already occurring, so that's definitely pretty unfortunate. And like I said, we are already starting to see a lot of those waters already starting to elevate, and so that definitely is bad news for some of those people. But like I said, we will certainly keep an eye on it to make sure you guys stay safe from all that potential puddling on roadways and things like that. But let's see here. Does it have a chance to affect Indiana? Yes, it does have a chance of affecting Indiana. Not by a tropical depression, but it's pretty much going to be a tropical cyclone by the time we head into Friday. It will pretty much be a tropical depression on Thursday, but then it will die down to a tropical cyclone as we head into Friday, and it will pretty much be in this area right here. It seems like it will die down pretty good, though, which probably means we won't see a ton of it, but it will still be close enough to where we could very well see some pretty big rainfall totals between 2 to even as much as 4 inches of rainfall in some areas. And so we definitely got to be keeping an eye on it, as it will. And if we look at the National Hurricane Center, National Hurricane Center shows that we may get anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, but just south of the Ohio River, pretty much in southern Illinois, western Kentucky, southeast Missouri, those areas could pick up anywhere from 2 to even as much as 4 inches of rainfall. So, you do need to be keeping an eye on it for sure, John. You definitely do need to be keeping an eye on it, because flooding potential will be there, because as you can see, there is a marginal risk for flash flooding across some of those areas, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that. And even some gusty winds could even occur with it because it will be a little bit on the stronger side of things. So definitely be keeping an eye on it, my friend. We'll keep you updated with the latest just in case anything does change with this system. And the worst thing that could change is maybe it going more towards the east than the north. But like I said, we will keep you updated with the latest. But back to the radar where we were looking at, still, showing some very heavy rainfall occurring by Leeville. So we'll continue to be keeping an eye out for these areas still, as it will continue to be a pretty big maker right here. And then we look at some live cameras again. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some live cameras once again. And yeah, we are definitely watching these areas. Let's go ahead and look at a live cam in this area right here to see how everything's going. And yeah, as you guys can see, still got some pretty big winds starting to occur. Can see cameras wiggling just a little bit, could indicate maybe some 40-mile-per-hour winds sustained with gusts as high as 60 miles per hour. So that is definitely already starting to pick up in some of those areas. Looks like those cars are doing okay for the most part, but we will definitely continue to be keeping an eye on it as it does get closer, like I said, because we do expect those winds to get near hurricane force in some of those areas. Back over towards Lafayette, we haven't looked at Lafayette for a little bit, which is probably an area we should take a look at as some rainfall may be occurring. But let's go ahead and take a look at this camera right here. And yeah, as you guys can see, got some rain already starting to occur right there, as you guys can see. We also got some trees wiggling a little bit, but not as much as what we saw in those other live cams, so those winds are still pretty far away from it. But we are still going to be watching it closely as it does continue to head closer. Let's look at some live cams down here. Let's go ahead and look at this live cam right here. Looks like we already looked at that one. Let's go ahead and look at one down here. So with this one right there, yeah, as you guys can see, got some pretty big puddles already starting to occur on those roadways. Not as significant, though, as what we saw down there towards Leeville, but it's certainly gonna, still continue to worsen as this eye does move on closer. Let's go ahead and check out Leeville again, especially because that was an area that seemed to be pretty extreme. And I mean, yeah, still got quite a bit of puddles around, like I said. So we'll definitely continue to be keeping an eye out to see how much water will be occurring as this does head towards the area. Let's see here. You're the best. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for joining too as well. We will certainly keep you updated with the latest information on the system. And something that I also want to point out is that this system does look to impact some areas up to the north. And, as you guys can see, we definitely will see this impacting places like Southern Illinois, Southeast Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, places like that looks to see the biggest amount of rainfall, but we definitely could very well see anywhere from 1 to 2 inches across southwest Indiana and as well as Southern Illinois. So we'll get some rain from it, fortunately. So we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on that. Let's see here. How long will it last? It'll pretty much be an all-day event, my friend. It will probably last till this evening, probably, because we are already starting to see those outer bands already starting to reach the Louisiana coast, and yeah, this eye is still trying to make its way towards there, so it really is going to be an all-day event, my friend, and that's exactly why we are still live to cover it, and of course keep people safe from it. But let's turn off the radar for just a second. Um, so that way, we can see the cities a little bit better. Let's just go ahead and select the radar over there. Trying to look for, Leeville. Leeville is pretty much located, yep, right there. Okay, just making sure I know exactly where it is. So it was pretty much right down here, south of Golden Meadow. And I mean, yeah, definitely seeing some pretty heavy rainfall across those areas right there. So we are still needing to be watching it pretty closely still, as this will continue to head closer. We got some pretty big bands of showers and thunderstorms getting ready to roll on through any minute, so we will definitely continue to keep an eye out for it just in case it does strengthen, because some of these storms can definitely strengthen with the energy and as well as the moisture that are down in this area. But as of right now, just some outer bands of heavier showers and storms before this eye does make its way towards some of those areas. But let's see here. Yeah, let's look at something else though. Something else that we can look at is these flash flood warnings. I know I do have warnings pulled up, but I don't think it's showing flash flood warnings though, which we can take a look at. We just have to look at something different, and we can use another radar for that. National Weather Service radar. There we go. Because this radar does show flash flood warnings that may be in effect usually. Um, and it only shows that there's only 2 special marine warnings in effect. So it doesn't look like we have gotten any flash flood warnings just yet. But there should definitely be one across Leesville, as like I said, there's definitely a lot of puddling in some of those areas. But let's go back to um, over here towards the cameras. Let's see here. What if there was flooding and it got in the basement? Where would you go? So if a flood occurs in a basement, good question by the way. So if a flood occurs in the basement, you would want to seek higher ground. You would want to seek higher ground because the farther towards the ground you are, the more underwater you are. So you obviously want to seek higher ground whenever a flash flood occurs. And that's really all you have to do. It might even be good to, maybe use some things to protect yourself just in case, but really just seek higher ground is all you need to do. And of course, turn around and don't drown if you're going to be driving out there. So that's really all you have to do, is really just seek higher ground or turn around and don't drown. So that's about what you need to do pretty much to stay safe from a flash flood. But back to these cameras. Let's go back here to some of these areas that we just took a look at. Let's look at New Orleans. We're gonna go ahead and see if there's anything occurring in that area. And yeah, not really. There isn't a lot occurring. But yeah, as you guys can see, got some pretty big water in some of those areas, but it definitely hasn't rained a ton just yet. It will really be after these, bands of showers and thunderstorms do get closer to New Orleans, which there's already some rain occurring, but I mean, these heavier bands will definitely make it towards New Orleans pretty soon, and so we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on it to see how much rain starts falling in some of those areas. But thankfully, no tornado warnings yet. We're going to go ahead and look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook, so that way we have some more detail about what's going to happen. And, the reason why I am going to, be live for today also is because of the tornado threat. Because as you guys can see, we do have a threat for some spin-up tornadoes across parts of southeast Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and as well as the western panhandle of Florida. No wind threat across that area. However, there is a chance for some damaging winds up here in the Rocky Mountains. We could see some isolated damaging winds as high as 60 miles per hour. Hail threat, no hail threat down there either, thankfully, but we could still be seeing some hail up here in the Rocky Mountains. So, even if you're not down here, you still want to also be on high alert up there in the Rocky Mountains, as we could be seeing some isolated large hail, isolated damaging winds, and that's really just going to be the main concerns for those areas up here to the north. Let's see here. Got to drive now. Thanks. Yep, you can go ahead and do what you need to do, my friend. Thanks for joining me, and it was good chatting with you. But that's really all we have to really worry about today. For that area is really just the tornado threat. We may be live for some severe thunderstorm warnings up here, just in case some do get issued, but it's really just going to be down here, which will be our main focus, as that looks to be our highest threat of severe weather here in the United States. But back to the radar again, we are continuing to be watching some of these bands of showers and thunderstorms that could very well be rolling on through. So that's exactly why, we need to be keeping an eye out for some of these. So yeah. But I am going to be right back. I'm going to go get a drink of water. Just hold on a minute. Alright. There we go. Finally here now once again. We definitely are still watching some of these areas across parts of Louisiana for that potential of some flooding, and latest on radar still isn't really showing much in the way of flash flood warnings just yet, but like I said, some areas probably should already have a flash flood warning in effect, as these areas are already starting to experience even heavier bands of showers and thunderstorms rolling on through. So we'll continue to be keeping an eye on it to see how much worse it may get, but as of right now, mainly just some widespread rain and heavy rainfall. But we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what we can expect with tomorrow's threat now. Could we just look at today, but now we're gonna go ahead and look at tomorrow's threat. And for tomorrow, which has just been edited, I'm pretty sure. Let's say I might need to refresh this because they have I know they have issued day 2. It just wasn't showing up right there. And yeah, we definitely are needing to be watching tomorrow, as well as there is a tornado threat across parts of the panhandle of Florida, heading into parts of Alabama. We even got a chance for some tornadoes across these Rocky Mountain areas as we head into tomorrow. So we might need to be live for tomorrow's threat as well. Excuse me, sorry. So we might need to be live for tomorrow threat, as well, as this does look, to bring that tornado potential across parts of Alabama. For the wind threat, no wind threat down there, thankfully, but we still do have that threat for some damaging winds up here in the Rocky Mountains. We could be seeing some 70-mile-per-hour winds, since that wind threat is a little bit higher, and of course a threat for some large hail will also be possible as well. So you guys in these Rocky Mountain areas, especially in eastern and as well as northern Wyoming, need to be paying attention extremely closely, as this does look to bring that potential for some pretty big time severe weather, and so we'll definitely need to be keeping an eye on it. Get away, fly. Not sure why that fly is flying in my face. That was so weird. But anyway, we are still continuing to watch these areas closely. Let's go ahead and look at another live cam. I'm just going to go ahead and eat for just a minute. And yeah, we definitely are still keeping an eye out for, some more warnings to come out. And like I said, some of those areas definitely should already be, um, getting some flash flood warnings in effect, as some of those areas are definitely, picking up anywhere between 2 to even as much as 3 inches of rainfall in some areas. And we can actually go ahead and look at what has been observed. I just got to pull up another tab for that. I'm going to go ahead and look at observed precipitation. And I mean, yeah, some of those areas in Louisiana have already picked up a lot of rainfall, and we can actually go ahead and change our region so that way we can see a little bit better. We're going to go ahead and choose the southeast. And yeah, for the observed precipitation during the last 24 hours, not a ton of rain has fallen, but it's especially down here towards Gulfport, Mississippi, and as well as southeast Louisiana, which has already picked up anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to even as much as, an inch of rainfall. But like I said, Louisiana is definitely going to start getting, much worse rainfall as we continue to head throughout the rest of today. But we look at those satellite imagery again, as you can see, it's even starting to get even closer to Louisiana. As it definitely is still gonna be something to continue to keep an eye on. And so we will still continue to keep an eye on to see if it does want to strengthen to maybe even a Category 2 hurricane. But as of right now, it doesn't really look like it, though, which is good news, but it's also still bad news that this still became a pretty big monster hurricane. But back to the live cams, let's go ahead and look at some other areas in Louisiana. And as you guys can see, we're gonna go ahead and select pretty much one. Let's see, where are some live cams? Doesn't look like there's a ton down here in the southern part, but it does sound like there's some over here that we could select. We already looked at that one, but looks like there's another one over here. And I mean, yeah, it's definitely already starting to ramp up a little bit in that area. Got some puddling in some areas, but that rain will definitely continue to get heavier as we do head throughout the next few hours, which I will try to be live for. And over here towards New Orleans, we are still keeping an eye out for some flash flooding, which is still gonna, continue to, be a pretty big thing as it will get closer. But like I said, really as of right now, I'm not sure why that pulled up. Let's go ahead and select another one. There we go. Show video. And yeah, got a little bit of rainfall still falling, but it's definitely not as bad as what we do expect later today. Let's see. And yeah, we will definitely. You also need to keep an eye out for these areas over here in Mississippi, especially around the Gulfport region, where we could definitely already start seeing some pretty big flooding. Because, like I said, on the observed rainfall, Gulfport, which is pretty much right there, already picked up about 2 inches, it looks like almost. So that's pretty crazy. If we look back over at the National Hurricane Center again, I think its latest update has already came in. We're gonna go ahead and pull up another tab to refresh it. And we're gonna go ahead and look at the rainfall then. And yeah, nothing has really changed with the rainfall totals that we expect, nor the flooding. But what about the track though? It looks like it might change just a little bit, but it definitely hasn't really changed much though. And yeah, you guys can see on the satellite it's definitely getting even closer, but it's still pretty far away though. And we can also look at what the models want to show about that. And models are actually pointing out this heading more northward as soon as it gets to the north. So I do expect the cone of uncertainty to change. Um, as soon as the next storm prediction center update comes in. I'm pretty sure these models are showing it going a little bit more towards the east, so like these two showing it going towards Alabama and this one showing it going towards southwest Indiana are pretty bullish, especially because more of these models are showing that it will head more towards, these areas. So we'll continue to um, be watching these areas up here to the north closely, especially as we head into Friday. Let's see here. Brick says, "Hello, Sim. Hello, my friend. Thank you so much for joining my live stream. Good seeing you here. Hope everything has been going well for you. We will continue to keep you guys updated with the latest information. And from what we know so far, like I said, this area is still looking to be concerning as it does head towards the north. Like I said, because as you guys can see, we got some models showing it going towards the east, and we even got some showing it going towards the north. So it really just depends on what's happening. But from what we know so far, this will more than likely head towards places like Illinois, Iowa, and as well as Missouri. Those areas look to start seeing some more impact from what we know so far. Another potential track that we may see is these ones, because this one shows it that it could start making a turn, and I mean that's pretty wild, by the way. But it's definitely still possible that that may happen, and so we'll continue to keep an eye out to see if that's what happens. And these aren't really malls, by the way. These are really just indicating the potential tracks. This one also shows it making an east turn, but I mean it's pretty bullish, like I said, especially because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense on what the models are showing, but still gonna be something to keep an eye on though, as that is being shown. And this doesn't really look to strengthen too much. If we look at the intensity guidance, barely even gonna strengthen at all. It's pretty much gonna stay where it is and then die down all the way back down to a tropical storm, then a depression. So it's definitely not going to be as bad as what we could have saw, but it's still going to be to the point where we do need to continue to keep an eye on it. Looks like we just got a new tornado warning. Let's see here. This includes places like Vinci, back down here towards places like, let's see, there's some really small cities embedded in here, back towards Port Sculpture, and as well as let's see, Woodland. You guys in those areas in Louisiana need to be indoors and away from windows. So pretty much all of you guys to the south of New Orleans need to be indoors and as well as away from windows. And if you guys are wondering what to do, you need to make sure you are on the lowest floor possible. And if not, you need to make sure you be in either a closet on the floor, or you need to make sure that you are protecting yourself. So what I'm really trying to say is that you need to go in your basement, because that's the safest spot in your house, and you need to make sure you're going into the most interior room in your basement. If you don't have a basement though, then the best place to go is the lowest floor possible, which will more than likely be the floor touching the ground, and you need to make sure you are in that most interior room on the central floor, and you need to make sure you have as many walls in between you and the outside as humanly possible. So please get into your safe spots if you guys live in Port Sculpture, Vinci, and as well as Woodland in Louisiana. Let's look at the velocity to see if we got any strong areas of rotation. And as of right now, not seeing a ton of rotation. We might see a little bit here and there in some of these areas, but I'm pretty sure this is more a water spout threat. So they're pretty concerned about some water spouts coming onto shore. But like I said, if you live in Port Sculpture, Vency, or any of these areas in this tornado warning, you need to make sure you go into the most interior room of your home, and you must have as many walls in between you and the outside as humanly possible. A tornado shelter or a basement is the safest spot. If you don't have that, make sure you are on the most interior room of your home on the lowest floor possible, and that must include a closet, a bathroom, just whatever is in your central part of your home. But yes, let's see here. But yeah, we are also watching, for maybe some development across these areas, because sometimes these areas can indicate a little bit of rotation here and there, but we're definitely not seeing very much though, so we're gonna, at least continue watching these areas closely. And let's go ahead and change this. We're gonna go ahead and change that to 1. There we go. And we're gonna go back. And yeah, we got one tornado warning in effect already, unfortunately. And we're going to look at the satellite again to see exactly where this may be. We just got to go ahead and select that satellite imagery again. And yeah, that ice sure is getting even closer, okay? This is probably to the point where we are already starting to see some pretty big landfall already starting to occur in some of these areas. And we can look at that on a live cam. To be honest, something that we probably should do is look at a live cam in Port Sculpture if they have it. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at these cameras, and let's see, Port Sculpture is pretty much right here. And let's see, is there any live cameras in those areas? Don't look like there really is, but we can still rely on the radar if there isn't. We can still rely on that. We will be okay if we can't find any live cams around this area, but we can, maybe look at some of these live cams. Like maybe we can go ahead and look at Leesville again. I'm pretty sure those storms are close enough to where we will still get a pretty decent view on where exactly the rotation and all that stuff is. And yeah, not really seeing a whole lot besides just a lot of ponding in those areas towards Leeville. If we look over here towards New Orleans again, like I said, this is our closest camera. And yeah, it's pretty much at a station, and oh my goodness, you gotta be kidding me. There's already a lot of flooding occurring on those roadways. My goodness, that is crazy. There's a lot of heavy rain already falling, and it looks like those cars are already going through it. That is really wild. Let's hope those cars are prepared for a flood warning. That should be issued pretty soon, especially if these things start to get worse. And that is pretty much in parts of New Orleans right there. Yeah, we do have some pretty heavy rainfall occurring there, and we can go look at the velocity for that. Yeah, got a very heavy downpour just to the south of New Orleans, and that's probably what we saw right there. Back down here towards these areas, like I said, if you live in Port Sculpture, if you live in Vency, or if you live in Woodland in Louisiana, you guys need to be in your safe spot. That includes the most interior room of your home, as many walls in between you and the outside as humanly possible. A tornado shelter or a basement is the safest spot. But if you don't have a basement, then go on the lowest floor possible and try to find, such as a closet, a bathroom, just something that is really interior, or the most interior room, and make sure to stay there till the tornado warning is over. That would be the best thing to do. But if we look at any other places around that area. We got these special marine warnings still in effect for that potential water spout. Um, so we still are gonna continue to be watching those areas closely as it will continue to, get stronger. We're gonna go ahead and take another one. And yeah, like I said, we are still continuing to watch these areas closely, especially as they, do look to still have some pretty big time rotation with them. So that's why we are still keeping an eye on it. But back over here towards the live cams again, as you guys can see, we are still continuing to watch some of these areas closely. We even have a satellite that we could use as well, to maybe get some more detail about what's happening. Like I said, there isn't any live cams towards um, Port's sculpture, like I said, unfortunately, but we are still gonna, continue to watch it. We also got, another area named Phoenix. You guys in Phoenix also need to be in your guys' safe spots, as this does look to, potentially turn towards your guys' area. And like I said, this is probably more of like a water spout threat, but it is still, enough to where we gotta, continue to keep an eye on it. But let's see here. And, if you guys want to continue asking, any more questions, comments, or concerns in the chat, feel free to leave those if you guys would like, and I will continue answering those. But like I said, we are still continuing to watch these, tornado warned areas, as, these areas could very well experience a water spout. That is exactly why, at least that's why I think this is pretty much in effect still. So again, if you live in Port Sculpture, or if you live in Vency, or if you live in Woodland, make sure to be indoors and away from windows, as this could very well be a pretty big time system. Potentially dropping even a tornado on land. We'll just have to keep watching. And if we also go ahead and take a look at the rotation, not really seeing a whole lot of rotation, especially because there isn't very reds touching greens. But it is still going to be something that we, do need to be keeping an eye on, though, especially as this does look to continue. But latest from the satellite imagery still shows, the eye located right there. So it still hasn't came on shore just yet. But like I said, as it gets closer, things will really start to get daggy. It will really start to get pretty dangerous out there. So like I said, I hope you guys are preparing for this system as it does move closer. Let's also go ahead and take a look at what we can expect with these other areas of precipitation. We're going to go ahead and select that. And as you guys can see, we do expect there to be, some pretty big storms in some other areas. We are still keeping an eye on this one, as it still is tornado warned. Sounds like it's going to expire in about 7 minutes, but it's definitely still gonna be something to, keep an eye on, as it will continue to do that. But yeah, We also still have that potential for some water spouts, and that's especially for areas west and east of the system right here. So that's exactly why we are gonna continue to keep an eye out on it. But let's see. I'm not gonna be live for much longer, especially because nothing much has happened yet. But I might end up doing another one tomorrow, especially because tomorrow looks to be a pretty big day. But like I said, I'm not going to be live too much longer, especially because um, we don't have a lot going on just yet. And, being live for hours isn't really going to be a great thing. But let's look at some more live cams right here. And as you guys can see, for some live cams, we are still continuing to keep an eye out on it. And like I said, no live cam over here towards this part of Louisiana, unfortunately. But it is still to the point where, we do need to continue to keep an eye on it. And we can look at some more live cams here in Louisiana if we want, which we do have one right here. And yeah, we definitely are continuing to watch these areas closely still, as that will, continue to, you know, get stronger, especially as it moves closer to shore. We still do have that tornado warning in effect, as you guys can see across those areas. So we are still gonna continuing to, be watching very closely. But like I said, not gonna be live much longer. Probably gonna end my stream in about 5 minutes. Like I said, it's not really great for me to be live for a very long time. I mainly just did this to keep you guys updated and to, also let you know about what to do whenever this is still ongoing. But, like I said, it's definitely not great for me to be live that long, so that's exactly why I can only be live for an hour. But if we look at the National Hurricane Center one more time, we're going to go ahead and refresh this and then pull it right back up again. And we still do have pretty much the same thing. Nothing much has really changed yet with how it's expected to be. But, same with flooding. Nothing has really changed with flooding either. But, we will continue to watch these areas extremely closely as they do look to still continue to, have some pretty big issues, especially as this eye of the storm does get closer. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated with that. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and end my live stream right now. Like I said, it's not great for me to be live for a very long time, but mainly just did this to keep you guys updated, and I hope you guys all have a great day.